Okay, if I remember correctly, I said I was going to make another cut, and I did. So let's see, can I zoom in here? I wound up, I made my other cut. This is my through the bar measuring tool here. Kind of a snap gauge, I guess, if you will, or a telescopic gauge. So I wound up, I made my next cut, what will now truly be my final cut. 989, 88 and a half. I was shooting for 90, but I'm 88 and a half, which that's going to be just fine. And the reason I wanted to do that, like I said, things are going pretty well over at the lathe there. I would rather have there's plenty of meat here. There's plenty of material here in this, factory boss. I'd rather have the thickness, the wall thickness in the sleeve I'm making, just because it'll help it. I think I'd rather have a thicker wall on the sleeve bushing. There's no reason, again, like I said, there's plenty of material here, and this thing really does make a very, very consistent bore. I mean, that snap gauge, I put it in a tool port here, and then I put it through a tool port here to do my measurement, and I am truly over the 5 inches. I mean, it's right on. It really is a very, very effective, very accurate system. So we have a very consistent bore here. We really do. And the surface finish is pretty good. Let me try to zoom in. I mean, again, for what I'm doing, it's fine. I don't get carried away with going crazy with the tools. I just what I do try to do is when I'm making the finish passes, let me try to zoom in a little. When I'm making my finish passes, you can see just above, just above my fingernail there, I do, I relieve it a lot this way and even this way, because you want to cut down on the tool pressure on these. I know, again, you see a big bar here, 2-inch bar essentially going through a 4-inch bore or whatever, but it really, a big part of this is trying to negotiate around the chatter and potential for things like that, because again, it's not a huge piece. I've got it, just kind of, everything's predicated on tack welds, and yeah, I mean, I got a pretty good purchase down onto the fork blades here and stuff, but again, and again, you'll see in my chips, it's not like I'm doing this at the lathe where, I'm going for maximum, chips are coming off tan and hitting the pan blue. That shit goes right out the window. You're just trying to, I don't want to beat the snot out of the drive, and I certainly don't want to beat the snot out of the feed. I just want to, you want to get it done as efficiently as you can and make sure the tool is cutting well on this. I've found that is kind of important, because if you're not cutting efficiently, this thing, will protest, so to speak. So that's, anyway, I don't want to get too far afield here, but so now that's it. I'm going to be happy with my measurement. Again, 388, 4. Yeah, sure. 3.988 is where we're going to be. So, well, it's 88 and a half actually. So that's going to be fine, because again, that's going to leave me plenty of room on the bushing, on the sleeve bushing I'm making, because again, I was able to get that dialed in pretty well over at the lathe, and it'll be easy to clean up the OD on that. So back to making the sleeve. Now that I'm satisfied here, I can certainly make the sleeve, and and again, I'm not going to go crazy here on the press fit of the sleeve. It's just a light press fit. I mean, thousandth and a half. Gonna be happy with that. All right. So anyway, let me get show on the road here, and I'll get back to you. All right. Now I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy with the bore, the dimension of the bore. So what I'm doing here now, actually this side will be good. I'm stepping it out. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. Okay, I'm stepping it, this little, I guess kind of a counter bore or counter step. And what that does is it gives me a place to put weld. The sleeve that's going in, naturally I'll put a chamfer on the sleeve, and then we have, like I said, we have this little counter bore or counter step here and that's so you can put weld in there. You know, plenty of weld. I mean, I try to go by eye, equidistant, three equidistant spots around by eye, and, you know, put a decent weld in there. And again, this is no problem because, again, you can see how much meat is in this factory sleeve here. So this is fine. This is no concerns with, you know, any breakout or anything like that. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm just counter-stepping it, and that's a place that'll hold weld. All right, we're back at the lathe now. I've got the sleeve turned its diameter. We were just pretty much right about where let's see, can I get this to focus? Yeah, maybe. There we are. Just 90, just over 90. Not 39, 90 plus. Not quite a half, if you can see. So we're 89, excuse me, we're 89 on our bore, we're just 90 plus on our sleeve OD. I got my bore here on this sleeve, bored the whole way through for the pin size, 3-inch. It's a 3-inch pin, so that's bored for 3-inch, and then I'll have to cut the steps, step from each end. But see, now that I've got this is where I want it to be. So the OD of this sleeve is going to be done. So now I'll cut this. I don't know if I'm going to part it or, it's pretty heavy. Well, whatever. I don't know. I could either part this, or actually I can just throw it right in the saw and cut it off. And then the OD is finished, and then I can hold on the OD. There's plenty of room here, and it's a little bit over length. I can start facing it off, and then once once I've faced it off, then I can start to make my two, my steps. My one. Essentially there are two counter bores, a counter bore from each end that will create a step in the middle. So like I said, we're good to go. And again, that should be a light press fit. It should just gently go into the bore on the piece. In fact, let me take you over. I'll show you I'll show you the knuckle pieces finished now. Okay, here we are. Like I said, we're back here. It's all broken down now because everything is done. There's no more. There shouldn't have to be any more boring. So I was able to break down the setup. I've got this. Let me zoom in here. Again, as you saw, I counter stepped or counter bored this, and again, I'll chamfer the sleeve. So when that comes through there, there'll be plenty of room here to hold weld metal. And again, that's not a problem because you can see how much meat is in this factory sleeve. So this should be fine. Again, the finish is quite reasonable. It's good. I've got that done on both sides. So this is pretty much ready to go. And like I said, I'm 89 on my bore and I'm just over 90 on the sleeve. And this is a lot of contact area. And again, I don't want this to be a heavy press. I just want a gentle press just to hold it. Because I am going to warm this, before I weld it, of course, and I'm just going to weld it, like I say, in 3 spots, or so, just to hold that sleeve in there. I just want the sleeve to hold in on its own. I don't want to get carried away again with the fitting because, again, I have a theory here, which is, again, when you do this way, this could be redone again without machining if it was to go bad. Again, because of the way I've done it here, there'll be a clear demarcation point here where the welds are, and I know where this is going. Okay, I know the customer, and the mechanics there are these are mechanics. These guys know what they're doing, so it would be no problem, I would bet, for these guys to simply take once this is welded, you'll get a better picture, but I'll bet you once this sleeve is in here, should it wear again or go bad or get torqued out of position and they have a problem, I wouldn't doubt that they would be able to just come in here with a whiz wheel, whiz wheel those welds out and essentially punch that sleeve out and just say, hey Mike, you know what, turn us another sleeve and we can essentially do it ourselves, and that would be without disturbing any of this. I think that's a very plausible scenario. So that's kind of what, you know, again, I'm trying to, you know, think ahead a little bit. And you know, and this way it's good for the future a little bit too. I think that's definitely a doable scenario. And again, even if it did have to come back and be remachined, you know, it wouldn't be that big a deal, because again, I would see clear, you know, demarcation points that I could probably, if necessary, set it up, machine that sleeve out, and again, you know, get the remnants out, peel what was left out, and then set a new one in there. Because again, there is plenty of room, and the good part about that is, I was able to keep it slightly under the 4-inch dimension, so that helps with material size. Because, you know, once you start getting that big in material, now there are no more, you know, at least my suppliers, it's difficult to get a small piece of you know, say a piece of 4 1/4 or 4 1/2. So, you know, so you could probably do it again with another piece of 4-inch. So again, I'm trying to think ahead. So that's where we're at. And again, so now I'm gonna, like I say, I'll go about, now that I've got the OD of the sleeve taken care of, I'll go about cutting that off, and then I'll start setting up for my 2 counterbores from each end. And we'll get the show on the road with that. Bring you back in. All right, so now we're over at the lathe, and we got the sleeve here. I've done the OD of the sleeve to size. Well, to the size I want. Like I said, we're about 2 over the bore on the knuckle piece that we're going to press this in. So again, it's going to be a light press. Just, you know, again, it could be up to 4 or more for a, you know, normal, moderate to heavy press. But anyway, we're only 2, because I don't want to go crazy. It's going to get welded. And now I've done the one side, the bore in, and now I'm working on the last side, and I've cut the, let me just see if I can move this in and zoom in. Yeah, you can see in here I've got the step is, you know, well defined now. I'm ready. I'm in my finishing cuts here. In fact, let's see, let me move this out. I've got it to the point now here where, since I'm boring, I've got my, you know, I've got my little, you know, my magnetic, one of my magnetic bases, you know, set here for my, you know, for my cross slide. This lathe, this is an Asian lathe. I'm not sure. I think it's Korean or something. It's a pretty stout lathe and all. It's pretty good, but the cross slide is terribly inaccurate. It's okay for coursing out. You can when you're taking, you know, 30, 60 at a time, it's fine. But when you get into your finishing cuts, it's just not reliable. You cannot trust it on this lathe. Whereas with that one on the toss, I mean, you can literally dial 1/1000th on that cross slide, and you will get 1/1000th at the tool. In fact, on this, I've made this one here permanent. You know, that I can, you know, I leave this indicator here, and then when I'm boring, I just put one of these magnetic bases on here for that. So I'm pretty close here now on this. I'm shooting for 3.5 inches, and I'm going to try to be, you know, right on that, because these bushings, again, there's a fair amount of squeeze to these. These are not like a regular ground and hardened bushing, you know, like you'd have. There is quite a bit of you know, quite a bit of leeway on these, but also when you're doing a sleeve, don't forget, if you're squeezing it into something, you gotta also remember, whatever your squeeze is, your press is, your interference is, you're gonna lose that on your diameter. So on your ID here, or approximately that, due to the interference. So I'm gonna naturally figure for that. So now I'm getting to the point where my you know, my feeble mind here is gonna have to, you know, get pretty serious about the math. Hard to do this left-handed, but you see I'm using my inside mic here, and I'm getting right down to it. Let's see, can I zoom in on that? Yeah, I'm right at 92.5, and that just, again, I know I'm doing it left-handed, but as you can see, that just barely go. It's just barely a go. So we're kind of, you know, we're getting to the point now where, you know, where we're just ready to finish. I don't know. I guess I'll try to do it. I got a pretty keenly sharpened tool here. I'll have to figure if I'm at 92, I'm going to go right on my number. So I got about 8 thousandths left. The finish isn't bad, and again, it's not critical for what we're doing here. So I mean, you know, just to pound these things in, it doesn't have to be a, you know, a beautiful finish. So I guess I'm probably going to just take one more finishing cut, and then that'll be it. And hopefully I'll be right on my number where I want to be. All right, so let me get that squared away, and then I'll get back to you. I pad the aluminum because with aluminum, just force a habit, because this is a finished surface. Again, not that it really matters. It's going to get squeezed into something. Doesn't matter if the jaws crush it a little. It's just force a habit. And also, again, this is, you know, this lathe has been, you know, it's been used. The aluminum helps because you got a soft surface. The very hard jaws, you know, the moderately hard steel. So it gives you a little, I don't know, what would you say, a little buffer to squeeze on. Not only is it's not so much even to protect it, but it helps the grip. It really does. And when you're putting it in and you're snugging it up and you're dialing it in, it's nice to give you a little leeway, you know, to be able to tap that piece, you know, back and forth as you're dialing it in, and the aluminum also assists with that. So it's kind of a dual or even a tri-purpose there. And like I say, it's just kind of force a habit. I don't want to chuck on what is a finished surface. So that's about it. Okay, I'll bring it back as we move along. Okay, here we are. We're back. The sleeve is all finished, obviously. As you can see, I've got it set up. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I've got it set up into this knuckle piece. It's chamfered, of course, in and out. Everything's taken care of. What I do is I don't like to bang on this, because again, it's a mild steel. So what I do is, well, almost always when I'm setting any kind of bearings, I use a hollow cylinder and a piece of threaded rod, and what I do is I kind of pull them through. So I've got it set up, and essentially that's what I'm doing. Is I'm just kind of, you know, just kind of pulling it through, and you can kind of, let's see, take a couple of cranks on this thing, and you can kind of see. There you go. You can kind of see it pulls right in, nice and easy. And again, I didn't get carried away with the, you know, the amount of press on this. So this is going in quite smoothly. So it's moving right along. Now I will have to reset this, because I think the stroke of this cylinder up here is only about, oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches or something like that. So obviously, as you can see, it's walking in. So I'll just go along here like this, nice and easy, you know, it's pulling in nice and smooth and square. I'll just pull it in till the cylinder bottoms out, and then I'll reset it, and I'll pull it in the rest of the way. But we're going along pretty well here. I guess you can hear that little ticking as it squeezes its way in. Sorry about the shaky there. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's probably about it on that cylinder. It's probably only a 2-inch throw. These hollow cylinders don't have the throw of a regular cylinder. So yeah, that's probably what I'll have to reset that. But as you can see, it's pulling in nice and, you know, pretty even. And what I, you know, again, I just back it up with different, you know, I have a lot of these different plates that I've made for different, you know, different applications. So I always usually have some combination that'll work. So I'll just reset this, and just, you know, essentially all I do is release the tension, you know, thread one or both of the nuts up a little bit, and continue pulling. So, all right, I'll bring you back when I get that all set. All right, I've reset and I've retensioned. Okay, now, let's see. I think I'm gonna probably stop here. As you can see, this is my my pull, you know, my pulling ring against the bush, and that's the actual bushing right in there. So, and actually this acts as a stop. I mean, this is a flat plate that's more than enough, you know, outside diameter to act as a stop. But I think I'm going to stop it there, and I'm going to break it down and inspect it, because this looks over here, it's looking to me like we're good. So I mean, I know it's no big deal. I could pull it against the stop, and then if it's, if it appears to be uneven, I could always pull it back. But I think it's worth it to stop and just inspect. So I'll check that out. But actually, I'm thinking we're probably going to be good, because I'm slightly, at least it looks, maybe one more half a crank, half a pump on the jack here. But that's about it. I think that's all I'm going to go. And we'll check it out there. But I think we're going to be good. I'll break it down. We'll let you see how we're doing. Okay. I think we're going to go with that. I'm liking that, because we've got a nice distance here. Obviously I've released the tension, and I was able to see on this side before I even released it. That looks pretty good to me. It looks like we're just about even on both sides. So yeah, I think we're going to be nice. I think that's it. That's where we're going to leave her. I'll pull all this stuff away. And then I'll probably drop it on the blades of the forklift here to get it set up for the welding. I'm going to warm it up, of course, and a little bit, just so I'm not pounding on, trying to pound weld into ice cold hunks of, large hunks of steel. And that's about it. So let me get this all broken down, and I'll set it up. I think now it's time to get set it up for the welding. So I'll bring you back. All right, well, that's it. We got that all broken down. We were pretty satisfied with what we had as far as the location of this bushing in here, and again, it's a real good fit, nice. Now that it's in, you can see the benefit of. Let me zoom in a little here. You can see the benefit of the chamfering, the counter boring on here, and again, I put a little chamfer on the bushing itself when I make it in the lathe, just to facilitate a place to put weld, and you don't have to grind it all away. There's plenty of room there, to put the weld, and excuse me, and again, you don't have to grind most of the way. This pocket here will hold weld. And as I was explaining yesterday when I was making this thing and running you through this, it also, like I said, what I'm going to attempt to do here is I'm going to attempt to put like three welds in here, hopefully roughly equidistantly spaced. And that also, because that's there, like I said, this may facilitate getting another shot at this down the road, because again, like I said, I think a mechanic, again, where this is going, these are very, these are A mechanics. These guys could probably just die grind with a little whiz wheel out my welds, and then, put some sort of a shoulder drift or something in this thing and knock the thing through. And just say, oh, hey, Mike, you know what, that's bad, turn us another one, and we could still do it, And like I said, this is under 4-inch. I had 4-inch material here, and I was able to keep it under that. So, so this is a pretty good scenario, in my opinion. Now, you may be thinking, as I often do, when I pull these things in like that, geez, Mike, you were using a 20-ton ram to pull that sucker in, and, boy, it went in, nice and firm. Shouldn't this be okay to leave just like, and you know what? The answer is, yeah, it probably would be. It probably wouldn't be a problem. We probably could just leave it just like it is. But again, don't forget, I shot for about 2 thousandths interference fit on this. Now I know it's a 4-inch bore, and you have a lot of surface contact, so it makes for again good surface contact. And yeah, I guess we could have just put a little bit of what would you call it, like a Loctite stud and bearing mount or something like that. And sure, we probably could have just pulled it in. It probably would stand on its own. But again, This is a really rough environment for these things. These machines, they are just, you know, again, as these guys explain to me, these things are self-destruction machines from the moment you start this thing up. So, and I'll try to, I think I have to go out and on site to the customer's place and bore the, well, maybe bore and bush probably the boom that holds these knuckles. So I'll try to bring you along on that when I do, if and when I do go out to do that. But it is a tough environment, and so to put some weld in here really does make sense. Again, if this wasn't for this, if it was just on a a little whatever, a little digger or something like that, sure, I'd be completely confident I would have made it a tighter interference fit, pulled it through there and, excuse me, and been satisfied with that, just put in the, the wear bushings into this. But again, in this environment, excuse me, this really is a tough situation. So that's why we're gonna put some weld on there. All right, I'm going to go about getting that ready. I think I'll throw it on the blades of the forklift just to, so I can stand there like a human and do it. This thing is heavy. This thing's probably over 100 pounds. So I'm going to tip this thing onto the blades, and I am gonna heat this thing a little bit. Just again, so I'm just not trying to, slam weld onto a 100-pound piece of 1-inch, material here, and this and that. So we're just going to warm it up a little bit, not get crazy, not get carried away. We're just going to warm the whole thing up so it's even, a couple 300 degrees, and then, like I said, just try to on each side put 3 equidistant welds around the outside of this thing on both sides, and that'll be it. So I'll bring you back when we get to that. Here we are. We're just going to warm this up just so it's not ice cold, just to put a little even heat around it just before we weld. That's all. All right, the welding is done. It's cool now. Let's see, can I zoom in here and show you what I mean? Okay. Here's the welds. Again, you can see it's, it's clearly, demarcated, so to speak, I guess, right? You can see it's, it's easily, easily visible, and that's about it. I did that. I welded it up on both sides. It's that side. Come over here, and that's it. We did this. So we've got it welded at equidistant. Again, just by eye. It's just to hold it in there, because you saw the way it pulled in on the on the squeeze. So that's about it. So now I guess technically I'm done. And then this, of course, I know I showed you, these are the bushings that will go in there. These get stacked too deep, obviously, because it's a little over 2 inches, I made it a little over 2 inches. So they'll get 2 from each side squeezed in there. 1 and then 1 right behind it. I don't know if they run them opposite on the splits or what, so I guess I better not put these in. But yeah, so that's it. This will get 2 on this side, 2 from the other side, and then I guess it can go back in service actually, and that'll be it. It can be done. So I guess we'll get this back to the customer tomorrow, and like I said, we can call this done. So like I said, I'll try to, this doesn't end this job, I don't think. Like I said, there's more to this. There's the boom that holds these, again, I keep calling them knuckles. I don't actually know, boom ends, knuckle ends, I'm not sure. That's going to have to be done in the field. The piece is simply too precarious to remove from the machine, so it's going to have to be done on location. So again, I'll try to include that if I can't. I'll try to get some footage of that. That'd be another whole separate video. In fact, I guess I'm gonna have to break this up into a couple of videos. But yeah, so this is done. This is the larger. This was the larger of the two of these boom ends or knuckles or whatever they're called. I just took some footage of doing the smaller one. Guess I'll try to include that if it seems, there's anything relevant there. It's essentially the same process, just I used a smaller bar and it was a smaller bore. So I used a smaller bar and that was about it. And smaller, instead of a 4-inch, I think that was a 3-inch or something. So I used a smaller setup, but that's about it. So this is done. That completes that. So that's just a quick glimpse at line boring. This is kind of a niche thing for me also, so I guess I'll probably periodically show more of these if they seem interesting, and if you want to see more of them, let me know. I'll be more than happy to include it. And of course, as always, if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe and enjoy. And as Shop Dog Sam might say, leave a comment. All right. So that wraps this up. Again, thanks for watching as always. And remember, as some famous guy once said, everybody polka. See you next time.